So, what's your show about today?
Oh, hey, Tucker. Today's show is about pipes.
Whoa, what kind of pipes are you talking about?
No, Tucker. Not that kind of pipe. We're a family show.
Good. So it's probably more about cross-link polyethylene pipes, right? They're really changing the face of do-it-yourself plumbing. But you really need to point out that the PEX joints should have either plastic compression fittings or brass connectors permanently sealed to the PEX with metal crimp rings.
Oh, we are definitely going to talk about that.
If you want, I could talk about how to join PEX to existing copper pipe. It's best to use a brass adapter that's rigidly welded to the old pipe, and then, using a brush or reaming tool...
Thank you, Tucker. I think we can probably handle it from here. Today's show is about pipes, but not that kind of pipe. And now he played Chip's gay friend on My Three Sons, Colin McEnroe.
Well, that's still on my IMDb entry, and it is true. And, of course, the connection there would be that Steve Douglas, played by Fred McMurray on My Three Sons, was an inveterate pipe smoker. Dads were in 1950s and 1960s TV shows. Robert Young and on Father Knows Best and Steve Douglas, I think, were maybe the two primary examples. Maybe Ward Cleaver smoked a pipe too, but maybe not as often. There are people on the show today who will know that. So let me explain to you why we're doing this show. It is not, in fact, about that kind of pipe, but it's about the resurgence in pipe smoking. And this all started with an email from a listener suggesting we do a show about the resurgence or uptick in pipe smoking. And I wrote back to him and I said, has there been one? And he sent me some documentation that suggested that there had been. And then it turned out that Kyone Wolf was eager to produce such a show, partly because her brother, Michael, who we may or may not hear from today, was the pipe smoking guy on Mad Men. He was the member of the advertising firm in the early seasons who tried to be different in lots of ways, and one of them was smoking a pipe. So that got us going, and we decided that we would do this show. And we do know, and we've gotten, before we even have gotten the show on the air, I've gotten emails and other kinds of communications from people who are concerned that we're promoting something that's not healthy, and we do understand that there are more healthy things that you can do than smoke a pipe. And we'll mention that once or twice today, that there are some risks associated with it. But that doesn't change the fact that people are doing it. And that got us curious about why people are doing it. It seems to be something that maybe goes in waves. There might be some reasons why it's suddenly getting popular now. Seems to be getting popular now on college campuses in particular, people who are sort of roughly college age or a little bit older. So to start things off, joining us is Kevin Godbee. He's the publisher and editor of pipesmagazine.com. Who would know more about it than Kevin? Welcome to the show. And first of all, tell us about this uptick. There really does seem to be discernibly a new surge in people smoking pipes.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Thanks for having me on the show.
Sure.
I'm excited to be here. I haven't smoked a pipe yet today, but I have had a triple latte, so I'm totally amped.
Okay.
But I just have a quick question first. Do we have a 3-second delay in case my Tourette syndrome kicks in?
We don't. No,
Okay.
we do actually. We do have a delay.
Yeah,
but I don't want you to encourage. I don't want to encourse you to think that way, though. Better if people think that there is.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, there's definitely a resurgence, without a doubt. We have both anecdotal and empirical evidence for that. If you don't mind, I'd also just like to quickly let people know two things before we get into details of the who, what, where, when, and why on the resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
Pipesmagazine.com is a crossroads between the old-fashioned pastime of pipe smoking and the modern digital internet social media age. So we're an online magazine, digital only. We don't do print. And we also have social media community aspects where registered users can friend each other, just like on Facebook. And we have community chat forums that are extremely active. And without a doubt, there's been a resurgence in pipe smoking. Pipesmagazine.com gets an average of 10,000 unique visitors per day. But one of the things I think is important for your listeners to understand, and this relates to a little bit about what you were saying in the intro, pipe smoking is a little bit different today. The pipe smokers of today are different than in the past. Pipe smoking's not a habit. It's more of a hobby. And the easiest way to understand that is to think of a wine connoisseur. Many of us have encountered a wine connoisseur at some point in our lives, and I'm not talking about a wine snob, because we have pipe snobs and tobacco snobs as well. But think of a wine connoisseur. Many wine connoisseurs might have a wine cellar or a wine collection. Well, today's pipe hobbyist might have a tobacco cellar or a pipe collection. Also, think of the grapes. There's different varietals. Same with tobaccos. You have Merlot, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon. Well, you have Virginia tobacco, Burley tobacco, Perique tobacco. And then wines can be full-bodied, light-bodied, be right for different types of the day, different accompaniments. Same thing with pipe tobacco. Wines have different flavor and aroma nuances. Same with pipe tobacco. And there's also the ritual about it. A serious wine drinker has a ritual. They will decork the bottle, maybe smell the cork, pour a little into a glass, and then they'll hold it up to the light to look at it for clarity. And then they'll sniff the aroma, and then they'll taste it and describe the taste. Today's pipe hobbyist does the same thing. They smell the tin aroma, they look at the color of the tobaccos, and then they taste it, and they'll describe the taste. And you might have a wine connoisseur say, oh, well, the aroma is of berries. And then after the wine opens up and you take a sip, there's a essence of cocoa or chocolate. A pipe hobbyist might say the exact same thing.
Just listening to all that, I'm also wondering about that distinction. I hadn't really thought about this distinction until you brought it up between the connoisseur and the snob. I think to a lot of people listening who are not indoctrinated, they don't know anything about pipe smoking, some of that, what you just said, might sound a little precious, might sound a little bit like Paul Giamatti in Sideways, talking about flutterings of Edom that he can smell in wine. So what's the difference between a connoisseur and a snob?
A connoisseur is somebody, in my mind, is somebody, whether it relates to wine or tobacco. And again, I just think it's an excellent parallel that helps somebody who doesn't really know about pipe smoking just think of wine, and there's just so many parallels. So it's just like that. The difference between a connoisseur and a snob, in my opinion, connoisseur is somebody, and I don't consider myself a wine connoisseur. Maybe I'm a wine connoisseur wannabe. And what that means is I'm interested in learning more about it. To me, not all the time. Sometimes I just want it to be a casual experience. I'm just drinking a glass of wine and that's all there is to it. But there's other times that I'm just personally interested. To me, I get a kick out of learning where did the grapes come from, and how do they turn the grapes into wine, and how is it aged, and the whole process. And it's the same thing with tobacco as well. Something I'm very interested in. There's a whole, the way they grow it, they cultivate it, and age it and blend it. There's all these, same thing with wine. So a connoisseur, in my opinion, is somebody who's just actively interested in learning more about how the product is produced, and also how to get the most amount of enjoyment out of it. And that relates to both wine and tobacco, where a snob, on the other hand, you have snobs and you have reverse snobs. I actually wrote an article about that on pipesmagazine.com. A snob typically will look down on somebody, like if a friend of mine thinks that if a bottle of wine costs less than $30, that it's not worth drinking, which is not really the case. You can find a $10 bottle of wine that'll be just as good, if not better, than the $30 bottle. And the same thing goes with pipes and pipe tobacco. There's corncob pipes, which are, very simple, cheap. You can get one for as low as $5, and then there are Dunhill pipes that I think on the low end might be somewhere around $200, $225. So a pipe snob might look down on somebody that's smoking a corncob pipe.
And as we get along in the show today, I do want to mention we will actually have an artisan pipe maker and whose pipes actually cost quite a bit more than that. And we'll also be talking to the owner and operator and blendmeister of a pipe tobacco company in San Francisco. Towards the end of the show, we'll also talk to a female pipe smoker right here in Connecticut, because one of the questions that we had about this is it's spreading also to women. We're talking about pipe smoking. Kevin Godbee is the person you're hearing right now. He's the publisher and editor of pipesmagazine.com. We'd love to hear from you, too. Our number is 860-275-7266, 860-275-7266. Are you part or not part of a pipe smoking renaissance? What do you think might be driving it, too? 860-275-7266. You may tweet us at WNPR Colin. You can email me at Colin, COLIN, at WNPR.org. That is plenty of ways to communicate with us. Kevin Godbee, I want to just talk a little bit about things that might, cultural triggers for all this, because obviously pipes have been around forever. Go back to the Native Americans, go back all kinds of places in history. But if we're going through a renaissance right now, if there's at least a significant uptick in sales, and it seems to be coming from young people. You kind of wonder what that's all about. One possibility, I mean, actually, we're 2 or 3 days away from the opening of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings trilogy. For that reason, by the way, Patrick Scahill will be taking the next 2 days off just to get ready for The Hobbit. He doesn't really feel like he can do anything else except focus on that. But the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I mean, the books and the movie itself was had a lot of unapologetic and very enthusiastic pipe smoking by Gandalf and the hobbits, and a lot of blowing of magical smoke rings, and talk about the finest weed in South Bottom and all this kind of stuff. Did anybody in the pipe smoking world notice a specific uptick tied to that?
Yeah, definitely. The Lord of the Rings movies, I think, helped make pipe smoking more interesting to people. It made them curious and want to try it. Also, the pipes they smoked in The Lord of the Rings, and it'll probably be the same in The Hobbit. I haven't seen the trailers myself, but they are the very long pipes. They're called a churchwarden pipe. Mm-hmm. So there'll probably be an uptick in sales in churchwarden pipes as well. And you'd said, Colin, that part of the resurgence is in young adults and it's popular on college campuses. That's definitely true. And some of the empirical evidence that we have, ironically, comes from the CDC. If you look at their 2010 smoking survey, which is the latest published, and compare it to their 2003 survey, in that 7-year span, we've had a 38% increase in pipe smokers in the U.S. And there's further data that some of the guys in the business that are listening right now are going to cringe when I say this, and they're probably going to scold me after the show, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it, so I'm going to say it anyway. The data also shows that the largest increase is in the 18 to 25-year-old demographic, which probably also explains some of the reasons that pipesmagazine.com has taken off like a rocket in the last few years, because I guarantee you the first thing that a 20-something does after he smokes his first pipe is to go online looking for more information, and we're the largest source of that.
It did. Sorry to interrupt you, but one of the things that I was thinking about as you were talking about all this is that this is such an interesting comment on the interwebs themselves, because the interwebs actually allow you to do two things at once. You can, and we do a lot of shows about subcultures here, and so you can be. You can do something that's kind of a differentiator. I mean, I still think of pipe smoking as something of, if there's 10 people standing there, probably at most one of them smoking a pipe and everybody else isn't. And it is sort of something that people do, and it makes them a little different from everybody else. And you can do that, but thanks to the interwebs, you can also network with lots of other people who are similarly, slightly social maverick-y iconoclasts doing this thing that not many people do. I mean, you can be sort of both, as I say, you can sort of rebel and be part of a big crowd all at once. I mean, the interweb must be great for stuff like this, for people to also geek out about pipe smoking. I mean, that's what that's what you do. Right?
That's an excellent and completely true observation. Even though pipe smokers, there's, I think, according to the CDC, there's something like 2.5 million pipe smokers in the U.S. That's actually a very small market. And even though it's experienced a resurgence, it's not, you don't normally walk down the street and bump into another pipe smoker on a regular basis. That's an oddity. But as you said, you get online and suddenly you can have 100 people at once having a conversation back and forth. And that's certainly, not to pat myself on the back here, but I think pipesmagazine.com has helped the resurgence a little bit. But it goes both ways. The resurgence has also helped that website grow as well. And also, talking about the college crowd in the 50s and again in the 70s, one of the in things to do in college was to smoke a pipe, and that's true again now. And also, smoking a pipe helps one relax and to concentrate, which is probably a good thing for someone studying in college. And it worked quite well for, Albert Einstein as he smoked a pipe while conducting his physics calculations.
Right. Of course, he has a famous quote about this. I believe that pipe smoking contributes to a somewhat calm and objective judgment in all human affairs. And it is interestingly linked with the notion of thought. And in fiction, it is. I mean, Sherlock Holmes, in particular, talks about how many pipes it will take him to solve a problem. That's a three-pipe mystery. He means he needs 3 fillings of the bowl, I guess, of the pipe. I have to pause and do a bit of Hartford chauvinism. The meerschaum pipe that Sherlock Holmes smokes, or that you think of Sherlock Holmes as smoking, is not anywhere to be found in the books. It is the invention of William Gillette, the author who most famously impersonated Sherlock Holmes for decades and was lived not too far from where we're sitting right now. But he was the one and he liked the meerschaum pipe because he could hold it in his teeth and talk at the same time. It balanced well or something like that. But that's an interesting idea anyway. And actually in one of Tolkien's works, Gandalf also talks about how he finds smoking a pipe to be helpful to him in terms of thought and clearing out the shadows of the mind. And I think he also says it gives him patience to listen to those who are in error. And so I don't know, is that really true? Smoking a pipe and thinking, those really do. People who smoke things, I guess, always do feel as though it helps them think somehow.
Yeah, well, I'm not aware of any scientific proof of that, but if I do have the opportunity to talk to a lot of pipe smokers, not just all over the country, but all over the world, and many of them will tell you that is the case. And it's different. Pipe smoking is very different than smoking a cigarette, for example. Usually you'll see somebody, they have their 15-minute coffee break and they're grabbing a quick smoke and a coffee, and it's kind of a rushed thing, whereas pipe smoking is usually reserved for time of relaxation. And a lot of people will read a book, or whether it's a book you hold in your hand, or a Kindle or something like that. But reading is something that a lot of people do while they're smoking a pipe, or just relaxing. Maybe with an adult beverage, or not.
All right, we're going to take a little break here. When we come back, we'll have more of Kevin Godbee. We'll also begin to introduce you to people who make pipes and people who market tobacco and blend tobacco, and to some callers who don't think we should be doing this show.
Ain't no kind of joke, so put that in your pipe and smoke it. I know you hear me. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Let's hit that again. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Folks, for me, Christmas is all about tradition. Trim the tree, wrap the presents, hang the stockings, untangle the lights, wash my hands 17 times, retangle the lights, and write a letter to Santa asking for more OCD medication. And folks, one of the most cherished traditions of Christmas is reading the classic 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. But now that's over.
A new smoke-free version of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas is getting some holiday jeers. A visit from St. Nicholas, the jolly old elf, kicks his pipe habit cold turkey. Author and anti-smoking advocate Pamela McCall edited out 2 verses about smoking.
The verses are: the stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath.
Santa can't quit smoking. He needs that vice. You tried dealing with the stress of delivering the world's toys in a single night. We're lucky he's not doing a parumpa-pump bump of coke off Blitzen's.
All right, that's Stephen Colbert taking on some of the. This actually did happen. This happened recently. This edited version here. We're talking to Kevin Godbee right now. He's the publisher and editor of PipesMagazine.com. We have many guests to add to the show, but we've also got a bunch of callers calling in, including 1 or 2 people who are a little troubled by the whole subject of the show. So let's go to Ramona in Wallingford. Hi, Ramona.
Hello there.
You're on the air.
Hi. I usually enjoy your show, and I always look forward to it. I think I need to bring a voice of reason to this conversation, though. Smoking is the #1 leading cause of preventable death. And I think that by attempting to confer legitimacy to promoting pipe smoking by comparing it to a wine connoisseur is misplaced thinking. And to quote a statistic from the CDC that demonstrates a resurgence of pipe smoking by our youth is a misuse of the information. That's not anything that we should be proud of.
We should just say
so I'm
CDC.
very offended by this program, and I think that you should not be doing this on the public air.
All right. Well, let me just first of all, because we keep saying CDC. CDC is the Centers for Disease Control, and it is kind of ironic or something that's where the information about pipe smoking comes from. But the one thing I would say to you about this, Ramona, is that first of all, I don't smoke anything. I've never smoked anything in my life. And I'm doing this out of interest as opposed to enthusiasm or in my own intentions to embrace this or anything like that. And, you have to sort of wonder how far are you going to take something like that? I mean, would you not talk about wine? I mean, alcoholism is a devastating problem in America. It causes incredible ruination of lives. But we've done shows on wine and beer. And we even did a show about whiskey. Would you not show a show like Mad Men or now on BBC America, The Hour, where people are just smoking all the time, constantly? Would you not let the hobbits smoke in Lord of the Rings? Because, I mean, kids watch Lord of the Rings. They're going to see pipes. I mean, I think we have to sort of count on people's abilities to sort things out. And first of all, you have to kind of count on mommy and daddy to say, yes, the hobbits are smoking, but you're not a hobbit. The pipe smoking's not, something we want you to do. Don't do that, or whatever the health message is. And so, I don't know. As I said from the beginning of the show, we're not saying this is the healthiest thing in the world that you could be doing. There are some risks associated with it, but we're just curious about why people are doing it more. If there's a 38% bump upwards in it between 2003 and 2007, that's kind of an interesting thing. And to sort of say, well, we just won't explore it because there are health risks associated with it, it takes too many things off the table.
Yeah, and I applaud you for that, Colin. Can I address
Sure.
Ramona for a moment?
Sure.
Yeah, I just have three things. Ramona, thanks for listening anyway, and thanks for calling in to express your opinion. My answer is three things. One, you said that smoking is something like the number one preventable cause of death in the U.S. I don't know that that's ever been proven, that any studies have ever been done by that. It's certainly been put out there quite a bit. And to me, no offense, you're just reciting a rote regurgitation of completely false propaganda and politically motivated hyperbole.
You have to be kidding me.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I sort of on Ramona's side about this, Kevin.
Well, okay. Well, here, I got a shocker for you. Here's a shocker for you. The original, very first Surgeon General's report ever, which was in 1964, okay, and I'm quoting from the Surgeon General report. Pipe smokers who inhale, and by the way, most don't inhale today, but in the old days they did. Pipe smokers who inhale live just as long as non-smokers. I'll say that again. Pipe smokers who inhale live just as long as non-smokers. Further, they say, pipe smokers who don't inhale live longer than non-smokers. Pipe smokers who don't inhale live longer than non-smokers. That's the Surgeon General's report, 1964. If you want to look it up, it's publication number 1103, and that's on page 92.
Well, I mean, Kevin,
and
I just
want to know why that is.
Kevin, I want to stop you and Ramona for a second here. You're talking about two different things right now. First of all, Ramona was talking about smoking smoking in general. She was lumping all kinds of smoking together as a leading preventable cause of death. She's right on target with that. You're making a differentiation between cigarette smoking, which is incredibly dangerous and stupid, and pipe smoking, which is considerably less dangerous. But that doesn't mean what Ramona said was wrong or politically motivated or whatever else you called it. I mean, what she said was essentially true. You're separating, as you should. So you're separating out something. You're separating out pipe smoking.
That's correct, and I agree with you.
Yeah,
that's correct, and I agree. But I needed to do that because the show is about pipe smoking. That's what it's about. It's not about cigarette smoking, and the general public is both uneducated and miseducated on the different types of tobacco and the different types of uses of tobacco, and they just lump everything together. To them, it's tobacco, is cigarettes, is evil, bad, and they lump everything together. So I had to make that distinction.
All right.
There is no threshold below which smoking of any kind, including secondhand smoking, is safe to do. And to hear your promotion of this hobby as a hobby and not a habit, I would refer you to the story of the Marlboro Man. And I'll take the rest of my comments and your response off.
You're going back to cigarettes again.
Yeah, of course, that is
We're not
cigarettes.
talking about cigarettes.
Well, anyway, I think we've established here that that there are healthier things in the world that you could do than to smoke a pipe, that it's not as dangerous as smoking cigarettes. And people are kind of free to make their choices. My choice would be not to smoke anything, but other people do choose to smoke pipes, and we're curious about why that is. We might as well get one more call about this kind of on the other side. Here's Brian calling in from Illinois. I didn't know we had anybody listening in Illinois. Hi, Brian.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. You're on the air.
I just kind of wanted to follow up with the whole cigarette thing. I mean, saying that someone who moderately smokes a pipe is not like a wine connoisseur. I mean, I do think that comparison is apt. I mean, with drinking, then you have the person who drinks like a 30-pack of Natural Light a day versus the one who, drinks 1 or 2 glasses. I mean, which one's the more dangerous? Just like cigarette smokers, they may smoke 1 or 2 packs a day, but pipe smokers may smoke, once a week, or they may only smoke 1 bowl a day, and that's far less dangerous,
Yeah, I would agree that moderation in all things, as Michael Bloomberg has established, you can shorten your life quite a bit drinking a lot of sodas or eating a lot of trans fats. There's lots of things that are out there that are dangerous for you, and we sort of count on people to have the wisdom to sort things out. Probably if you smoke a pipe once a day, once again, there are probably better things that you could do, but if you like doing it, it's probably not going to endanger your health all that much. If you do it a lot, yeah, you're probably asking for trouble with your teeth and your lesions and stuff like that.
And I think the most important thing too is the non-inhaling part of it, because I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day for, I'm 33. I used to smoke for about 10 years, and I quit about a year ago. And I only smoke my pipe, maybe once a day or maybe once a week sometimes. And I'm a cyclist now. I eat well. There's a lot of factors that contribute to getting sick from smoking. And the thing is, when I quit inhaling, that was a huge difference for me. And those risks for mouth cancer and so on that everybody always cites, they're almost absent when you smoke it in such a moderate fashion.
All right. Well, we're going to move on here to other aspects of this. And in fact, we are going to talk. Actually, while we're sort of on the cultural part of it, though, one thing that we didn't talk about, Kevin Godbee, it seems to me, and I've kind of alluded to it now, that we are in the middle of 2 kinds of major nostalgic movements. One of them is just sort of, as you watch television, it's Mad Men, or those of us who've gotten addicted to the BBC America's The Hour, which is set in exactly the same era, but at the BBC's studios in London. And there are a bunch of other sort of nostalgic-oriented TV programs in which people are often seen smoking all kinds of things. But also, there's kind of another nostalgic movement, which we've covered a bit on this show, called steampunk, which is kind of really locates its aesthetic in the 19th century. Once again, you're likely to see a bunch of Sherlock Holmesy looking pipes and stuff like that. And it does seem as though if there's a big uptick in pipe smoking, it may have something to do with what seems to me to be a real strong current of cultural nostalgia we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that 100%. As far as some of the whys to a pipe smoking resurgence, I have a few theories. One is the bad economy. In bad times, people become nostalgic. Pipe smoking has lots of nostalgia about it. Even when Michael Gladys and I did our interview a couple of years ago, we talked about pipe smoking and we talked about the TV show Mad Men. We discussed that nostalgia was probably one of the reasons that Mad Men was so popular, or still is popular. So people, I think smoking a pipe gives people some comfort in a depressed economy. Thinking about the good old days and better times is sort of a therapy, as is smoking a pipe. And it certainly probably goes along with the popularity of the TV shows you mentioned, and even steampunk. Even in some of the discussions in the forums on pipesmagazine.com, there are guys that are fans of steampunk as well.
All right, let's add to this conversation. We're going to find out a little bit more about the people who make and blend the stuff that's actually smoked in pipes. So we're going to start, I think, with Jeffrey. We're going to start with Jeff Burt-Cracik. He's an artisan pipe maker and owner in San Diego. Let me just bring him up here on the board while I'm talking. And owner of J.Alan Pipes in San Diego. So Jeff Burt-Cracik, tell us how you came to be making pipes.
How I came to be making pipes?
How you came to be making pipes. I think some of it actually takes place here in Connecticut, right? Part of the story?
Yeah, actually that's very true. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. And I started making pipes, almost 10 years ago now. I was in graduate school and had intended to go on and teach theology and ethics at a university. However, when I was doing my studies, I found myself spending most of my time, 14, 15 hours a day studying, and my wife encouraged me to find an artistic outlet. And suggested I had been a cigar smoker, just an occasional cigar smoker, and the graduate school budget did not allow cigars, so she suggested that I smoke pipes, which she thought were cheaper, and her grandfather had smoked a pipe, and it reminded her of it. So I got very quickly kind of fell in love with the ritual and the aromas and the beauty of the pipe product.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about what the materials are that pipes are made of. I know nothing about this. First of all, I have to ask you one really stupid question. Are corncob pipes really made out of corn cobs, or are they made out of something else?
Absolutely are. They absolutely are. They're made in, there's a company in Missouri Meerschaum.
Yeah.
And they make corncob pipes. And, they take corn cobs, drill holes in them, and put stems in them.
Now, I assume you're making much more fancy pipes out of fancier materials than that. So what kinds of materials are you using?
Well, the material that I use, the primary material, is a wood. It's a burl that grows between the root system and the trunk of a shrub, a large shrub that grows all around the Mediterranean, and it's called briar. That's what we call it. And it's harvested and taken to mills. The mills then cut it and dry it, or cut it and boil it and dry it to prepare for the pipe makers, whether they're factories or artisan pipe makers like I am. So then I receive a shipment of blocks, and I actually handpick all of my briar that I receive. And from that point, I use the grain of the wood. It's a very, very beautiful wood with gorgeous graining, and I use that to not only determine what the shape will be, so that I can best show off the beauty of the wood. And then once I have shaped the pipe and drilled the holes, then I will make a stem out of a rubber material, vulcanized rubber, that's produced in a factory in Hamburg, Germany.
I just want to go back just linguistically, because I'm realizing now, I mean, in all of my life as a reader, I'm constantly reading books in which people are smoking pipes and they're talking about briars. So a briar, let's go back to the burl. The burl is basically, it's more like a root than it is like, a piece of wood, right? It's sort of...
I mean, if you've ever seen a burl on another tree, like growing out the side of a tree, like a round ball growing out the side of a tree, this is something similar. It grows just under the surface of the soil, and the trunk of the shrub goes into this, and out from the burl comes the root system.
And so that's a burl, and then a briar is that the same thing as a burl, or is that sort of more the condition?
The technical name for the shrub itself is the Erica arborea tree. We know it as the white heather tree.
Yeah.
And we have just come to call the burl of this tree briar.
Okay. I've always
the French term is bruyere.
Okay. I always wondered what that what all that meant. All right. And then the stem
distinguished from the briar bush.
Yeah. Exactly. That was what was confusing to me.
Right.
All right. So there's that, and then there's the stem, but the stem isn't wood, right? It's plastic or something like that.
The stem can be wood. It just tends to be less durable when it's made out of wood. But the stem can be made out of acrylic. It can be made out of multiple kinds of plastics, bakelite. And then the material that I use the most, mostly, is vulcanized rubber. And there are just a couple places in the world that actually manufacture this. They manufacture it for us, for high-end pen makers like Montblanc, for bowling ball manufacturers, and for like clarinet and saxophone mouthpiece makers.
Now, how many pipes do you make? Just a few pipes a year, right? Or you're not a mass production. Yeah, and that's a living because of the artisanal nature of it.
Yeah, thankfully it is. I make my entire living from making pipes. I make between 100 and 150 pipes in a year.
Yeah, and what are they? How much do they sell for?
They start at about $650 and go up from there.
Okay, so Kevin, that's a little bit more than even the sort of the price you were quoting before, right? Kevin,
yes.
You're the editor of
Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jeff is making very special pipes, and that's also brings up another part of the pipe hobby, as we call it. There are pipe smokers, and there are also pipe collectors. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, pipe smokers spans a very broad demographic audience. There are, and also a way to think of Jeff's pipes is think of cars. Okay, you have whatever car it might be, say a Chevy Camaro. There's I don't know how many are made, tens of thousands, I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands. There's a such thing as a factory pipe. That's a mass-produced pipe where, you might find there could be 10,000 people that have the exact same pipe. The pipe that Jeff is making is individual, one of a kind, done by hand by a highly skilled artisan. So now imagine that instead of going and buying your Chevy Camaro, you're going to have a completely custom-made car done for you from scratch. That's like one of Jeff's pipes.
All right.
Something special and different.
So those are Breyer pipes. Now, since we were talking about Sherlock Holmes, and since we are broadcasting from the city of William Gillette, who was the person who associated Sherlock Holmes with the meerschaum pipe, I also suddenly realized, getting ready for this show, Jeff, that I had no idea what meerschaum is. And I'm astonished to find out that it's an actual thing. It's not actually a style of pipe. It's an actual material, right?
Right. Well, yeah, meerschaum is a material. Meerschaum is just German for sea foam, and it's a mineral that is mined in Turkey. It's available all around the world, but the highest quality of meerschaum for pipe makers comes from Turkey, and a lot of those meerschaum pipes are hand carved. They can be figural, sculptural pipes, or they can be traditional shapes. And it just has unique characteristics when compared with Breyer. It's much lighter in weight, has a very, very clean, almost transparent taste to it. And there are people, as Kevin was referencing, collectors. There are people who focus a collection on a particular shape or a particular material. And there are some people who collect meerschaum pipes or simply just prefer to smoke them.
So for you, like you also will make a pipe that you yourself are going to keep and smoke. What is it that you're trying to do? Why would the next pipe you make for yourself or anybody else to use be any different from the last pipe you made?
Well, a lot of times it's the shape of the pipe is determined by a specific order that I've received. I'll take commission orders, commissions. So people will call me and say, I want such and such a shape or such and such a finish. I have various colors that I use, different finishes, be they rough finishes or sandblasted finishes, smooth finishes. We use materials like bamboo for the shanks. It just adds a unique look to the pipe and reduces the weight. They're collectors of just bamboo shank pipes. So I would say a good portion of that decision is determined by the order that I might have. And the other part of it is me looking through my collection of Breyer and being inspired by the piece of wood itself. I'll look at the wood and I'll see the grain and I'll say that this piece is perfect for this kind of shape. Yeah. Or maybe it will give me an idea for a new shape or a new variation on a shape. So it's really the limitations for shaping is they're only in the artisan's mind.
All right. Listen, J.Alan, so great to talk to you. We just have much ground to cover here. We're doing a show about pipe smoking today. If you want to be part of it, give us a call at 860-275-7266. If you're just tuning in, be aware of the fact that the pipe smoking is bad for you. A category of call has already been covered. 860-275-7266. For the rest of this segment, and towards the end of the show, we're going to talk to a woman, a pipe smoker. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about what goes into the pipe. Joining us now is G.L.Pease. G.L.Pease is the owner, operator, and blend meister of G.L.Pease Tobacco. And he's with us now. First of all, G.L.Pease, where is G.L.Pease Tobacco located?
Hi, Colin. Pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah, happy to have you.
Well, yeah, where is he located? He's located right now in an easy chair in his wood-paneled library filled with leather-covered bound volumes. And actually, I'm in California. Mm-hmm. Which is where I do all the blend development. The manufacturing of the product is actually done in North Carolina by a company called Cornell & Deal, without whom I wouldn't be able to continue. So we're across the country.
So you deal with one particular company, and are they growing special kinds of tobacco that you want them to grow for your blends, or how does this work?
Well, they're actually not the growers. The tobacco, the leaf that we use, is actually grown all over the world. There's tobacco grown, of course, in the United States, in Virginia, in Kentucky, in Tennessee, in Maryland. in the Carolinas, there's tobacco grown all over the Mediterranean, in France, in Belgium, in Italy, India, Africa, and we source our leaf from all over the world to get the characteristics that we're looking for. What Cornell and Deal do is they actually manufacture the product from the leaf that's been harvested and cured. So it's cut and blended and processed properly.
And are there certain kinds of golden standards that somebody like you is looking for pipe tobacco? In other words, are there just sort of we did a show, I don't know, about a week ago about perfumes, and it was the same kind of thing, just sort of talking about how there were certain qualities that might or might not make something a great perfume. Are there things you're especially looking for that you prize the most highly?
Oh, absolutely. We're looking for consistency of color, we're looking for aroma, we're looking for flavor, we're looking for the overall quality of the leaf. We don't want to have a lot of sticks and stems in the product. We don't want to have a leaf that doesn't have a good flavor or a good aroma. It's all very important. It's very much like selecting grapes to make a wine or selecting ingredients to make a good food.
I get an email from Carol asking, I love the smell of pipe smoke. Can he explain why it smells so much better than cigarette or cigar smoke? It does seem to be a characteristic of pipe smoke. Sometimes the people smoking the pipe really sort of it seems like they're almost smoking it for the other people around them. And it does, she's right, it smells a lot better. Why is that?
Well, okay, there are different types of tobacco that people smoke in a pipe. There are aromatic tobaccos, which are probably the most common, that are often flavored with things like chocolate and vanilla and maple and honey and so forth. And those do provide a very pleasant aroma to the people around them. There are also more natural tobaccos that some people find somewhat less pleasant. Mm-hmm. And then there are tobaccos like Latakia, which either you love them or you hate them. It's a very smoky, campfire, burning wood kind of smell that's absolutely marvelous to those of us who love it and rather detestable to those who don't.
But I sense in what you're saying, underneath what you're saying, a little bit of a streak of purism, as though maybe some of these other more sweet-smelling things, cherry and vanilla and chocolate, and these sugary-smelling things aren't quite the same as what you as a purist might be looking for tobacco to do.
Exactly so. It's a different category of product, really. And yeah, I am a kind of a purist. I like the natural flavors and the natural aromas of the leaf itself. I think there's such an amazing variety of flavor and aroma in just the leaf that it seems, it's just outside of my purview to go beyond that. I just really enjoy it. When I do use flavorings, which I do in a few of my blends, I tend to use natural products as well. I use, if I want a brandy flavoring, I'll use brandy, not an artificial brandy flavoring. If I want rum on the thing, I'll use rum, not rum flavoring. So
yeah, obviously among the earliest pipe smokers are or were Native Americans. Is it possible or known? Can you smoke the tobacco that they were smoking in their pipes? Has anybody tried to somehow or other isolate that heirloom tobacco, if that's what it was?
Well, all tobacco is the same species. Mm-hmm. All tobacco that's smoked. There are different species of Nicotiana, but Nicotiana tabacum is the one that we tend to smoke. There's also a species called Rustica that's very strong and rather unpleasant. It's smoked in some places in Eastern Europe. But what we're looking at, though, is one species of plant that expresses itself through many different phenotypes, just like wine grapes. It's all the same species, but you've got red grapes, white grapes, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon. Tobacco is the same way, that the soil in which it's grown, the microclimate in which it's grown, the strain of the tobacco itself all makes a difference on the finished product. So a tobacco grown in Greece, for example, will have very different characteristics from a tobacco grown in Virginia.
Yeah, so it's like what we call a terroir with wine.
It very much has a terroir.
All right, G.L.Pease, it's been great to talk to you. We're just barreling through this show at high speed, so we're going to have to take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll take some of your calls. We'll hear from a woman pipe smoker. We'll have more of Kevin Godbee. I don't know how we're going to do that in the amount of time that we'll have, but we'll do it somehow.
Tobacco is an Indian weed, at moment is green, cut down at eve.
Now if we could just get Santa Claus to skip the cookie and eat the carrot. That guy is a walking time bomb. Today's show was produced by Patrick Scahill, Betsy Kaplan, and me, with help from our intern Matthew Robert. The part of Bill Curry was played by Harold Wilson. Tomorrow we're rebroadcasting our interview with David Fitzpatrick, author of a searing memoir about a mental illness that made him cut himself. And now, back to Colin.
Yeah, that's David Fitzpatrick, author of Sharp. I don't think we've gotten responses to many shows like we did to that show. So we're rerunning it again tomorrow. If you didn't hear it the first time, make sure you hear it this time. Meanwhile, if you want to call in here, although we got a lot of calls on the board, 860-275-7266. With us, Kevin Godbee, the publisher and editor of pipesmagazine.com. And also joining us, I hope I am going to say her name correctly, Sora Garlasco, a female pipe smoker right here in Connecticut. First of all, how did I do at saying your name?
That was fine.
All right. Okay. Acceptable, but not great. But and so explain. The only female pipe smoker I can think of is Mammy Yoakum, who I don't think you even know who that is, probably. And if so, don't want to pattern yourself after her. How is it that you come to be smoking a pipe?
Well, my husband started several years ago, and I just love the smell of pipe. When he used to walk around the house, and he kept asking me, do you want to try it? Do you want to try it? And in the beginning, I was like, no, I don't know, because I'm not a smoker to start with. So, and then last year, I said, you know what? Let me just try it, and I've been smoking ever since. So.
And what is it you like about it, especially since you're not a smoker by inclination?
I think it's just. It brings back. It starts off where it just brings back old childhood memories. My father was a pipe smoker, and I just used to love the smell, of his pipes, in the house. And to me, it's relaxing. It's a time where my husband and I can, spend time in just, watch a good football game or, watch a movie and just relax and, kind of just not think about anything else.
Right. And Kevin Godbee, I'm sure on your chat boards and things like that, you have some kind of sense of this. Is Sora part of a trend at all? I was asking this guy from Pipes Magazine, Sora, and then I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, she is actually. Within the resurgence of pipe smoking in general, pipe smoking still is primarily. We've actually done a survey. Anybody that wants to see some real interesting info, just Google Pipe Smoker Survey Results 2012. Pipe Smoker Survey Results 2012. And we did it 2 years ago as well, in 2010. And at that time, it seemed like 99.9% of pipe smokers were male. Well, 2 years later we did it, and now we have a few percentage points to the female side.
And
so
Sora,
I think it came out like 97% are male, but still, from like almost nothing to 3%, that's significant.
And Sora, are you the only one of your kind that you know?
Actually, I have a friend in California who just started her. Her fiance is actually a pipe carver, and she just recently started. But yeah, I really don't know of anybody else that really, that are females that smoke a pipe.
Every time I ask somebody about anything having to do with pipe smoking, it comes back to California. That's where two of our guests today were from, and there must be the gold rush for pipe tobacco out there. Well, we're going to have to go. I want to thank everybody who helped out with today's show, and also I have to go make up with Ramona somehow after this. Anybody who was troubled by the topic of the show, really just sort of bear in mind. I mean, there's lots of things we cover on this show, and some of them, have some risks associated with them, which we count on people to be able to assess intelligently. But anyway, thanks to Kevin Godbee, to J.Alan, Gregory Pease, and Sora Garlasco, and that's probably not even how you say her name.
They hunted with bows and arrows, and they all seem to smoke a pipe. I smoke a pipe. I smoke a pipe. Despite all the negative hype, I smoke a pipe. That's right. Whether it's morning, noon, or night, to smoke is just to feel alright. That's why I like to smoke a pipe.
I'm Kyone Wolf, smoking a pipe for the first time. this is not the kind that you inhale.